Between May and June is white-tailed deer fawn season in Michigan. Local 3's Brianna McLean is in the studio where she speaks with a licensed wildlife rehab facility director about what the public should know when it comes to fawn season and what to do if you come across a possibly orphaned fawn in the wild. Brianna?
It's fawn season here in the UP, which means you may come across baby deer, whether it's in your backyard or somewhere else in the wild. And while you may be tempted to touch or try to help these adorable fawns, there are some important signs to look out for and steps to take before taking action. Cayenne Clark is the director of Wilson Creek Wildlife Rehabilitation Center, a nonprofit organization in Marquette County that takes in fawns and other small mammals that need rehabilitation and then releases them back into the wild. She shares the do's and don'ts when it comes to finding a possibly orphaned or injured baby animal.
The very first thing to know is that wild mothers do not stay with their babies all day long like domestic mamas do. They are very careful about not leading predators back to where the baby is located, so they're not coming and going all day long. They will feed baby usually 3 times a day. Most of those feedings are occurring early in the morning or late at night, and then baby is left on its own, specifically in the case of fawns, where when they're newborns, they're not strong enough to be up and following mom around while she's eating, but she has to be up grazing around, providing enough nutrition so that she can nurse that baby. So she leaves the baby in what she thinks is a safe spot. Now, sometimes these mamas do not pick the best spots to leave their babies. Sometimes they're in really weird places, and that's where the public tends to get involved. They think, you know, why is this deer here? No mama would leave their baby in this location, but sometimes they do. It's always best if you see a wild fawn laying down quiet in the grass, it's because its mama told it to stay there, and she'll be back. You may not see her. Another thing I like to tell people is if there's a fawn and it's like right next to a road or in a location that's really dangerous for that fawn, you absolutely can move that fawn. Your scent will not deter the mother, however your presence will. So if you move that fawn, you need to move it to a safe place and leave the area, because your presence will deter mom from coming back. So that's one thing that's kind of a myth in wildlife. Your smell will not deter the mother. And that's the same for bunnies and all small mammals too. So 3 things that we look for when we're determining whether or not a fawn has indeed been orphaned. The number one thing is that fawn crying? And I'm not talking about a little cry here and there. A starving fawn will cry for hours and hours on end all day long. You will know 100% that that animal is in distress. And instinctually, it goes against everything inside of them, because as soon as they start crying, every predator in the area is going to hear them, primarily coyotes, and come in. So they have to be really desperate in order to start calling like that. The second thing that we look for is that animal approaching humans. If a fawn walks right up to you and it's been calling and calling and calling, it's hungry and it's been without its mom. Another thing that we look for is the curling of the ear tips. Now, newborn fawns can have a slight curl. The tips will curl back, and that's normal. They're just newborn, things haven't really filled out yet. But if you see the curling of the ear tip in addition to the edge of the ear being very wavy, that's a good sign of dehydration and means mom's been gone for at least 24 hours, sometimes 48 at that point. So those are the 3 things we really look for. And then the last one is there a dead doe around? You know, a lot of times newborn fawns will not leave the mama if she's been hit. So a lot of times if you're seeing a fawn that's right next to a dead doe on the highway, that's probably her baby. So that's another thing that we look for too. But if the fawn is laying down, it's quiet, it looks like it's hiding, that's perfectly normal. Leave it alone.
Wilson Creek Wildlife Rehabilitation Center is open every year starting April 1st through October 1st. The center does not admit adult wildlife for rehab. If you come across a fawn or other small mammals in Marquette County that may be orphaned or injured, you can call Cayenne Clark's cell phone at 406-552-5680 or her home number at 906-345-9554. The number of wildlife that the center admits each year relies solely on donations from the community. You can donate to the nonprofit organization through its Facebook page. This information can also be found within the article of this story on our website, upmatters.com. Reporting in the studio, Brianna McLean, Local 3 News.